Hi, it's Katie Sariani Bull, and I'm back with Katie Stories number 72. So I've been trying to do this story for a while because it's a difficult one. Yeah, I want to talk about God. Let's talk about God, baby. Let's talk about you and me. And hey, I don't mean that blasphemously. I don't like to take the Lord's name in vain. That's the way I was raised. I'm not religious, and I'm certainly no expert. No, I'm just talking about what hits my heart chakra, my opinion, my views, whether they're unacceptable or not. Thank you so much for coming on to hear them. In the world right now, I know we need him. We need God. We need Jesus. And I feel that, and a lot of people are speaking more openly about that if you look at the way the world is going. And so what really got me, I think about that, I think, why am I on here? Like, I went from telling my Katie stories, from having a chapter published in a book, to talking about the things that help me heal as a woman, sharing all of the different strategies I've used to get happy, to love my authentic self, to get real. And then it led me down the rabbit hole to the political views. And then funny, because I'd just gotten off Facebook. It was really my intent that, we've moved up north and I want to start getting more woodsy and growing things and, learning kind of a more independent lifestyle. So just as I got off Facebook, no sooner, kaboom, the truck convoy started. Do you like my sweatshirt? It's beautiful, eh? Well, it should be. It almost cost me like my life savings, right? Yeah, they're going to seize accounts. So let me talk about why I'm coming on to talk to you about God and what that has to do with this. So a few weeks ago, my husband and I went to the island, saw everybody, and it was right around that time it was all coming down that, Trudeau had just called the Emergency Act, and they were freezing the bank accounts of truckers, and then it was coming out that they were doxing the addresses of the truckers, and then that led to the donors, people who donated or were going to possibly have their funds seized and be doxed as well. And so this was of great concern at the time because we had donated to GoFundMe and then we got our donation back. And I didn't feel comfortable redonating to Give Send Go. And Jeff was going to give some cash to the truckers when they were nearby us a couple of weeks ago, but it just didn't work out that day and he didn't get there. But I did buy merchandise, right? And this is before the convoy even started. I donated and I bought a couple hoodies. I bought one for myself and husband and birthday gift for someone on the island. And so when we left the island, it was heavy. It was just felt really dark. It was just, wow, like we're in a country where there's an iron curtain. We can't leave because we don't have that. And now they're shutting down bank accounts if they disagree about what you have to say about the government. So scary. And I had so much anger in me that I just didn't feel I could talk about it even to friends who don't quite see the same views. So when we got home, I was sitting there in the living room. It was Tuesday morning. And I was listening to this church lady I love. Her name's Amanda, Ark of Grace. And Jeff can't stand her, right? He runs for the hills, or I'll just, listen to it in another room because she talks with like a squawky Bronx accent. But I like her. One, she doesn't ask for money, so that's always a good thing in my opinion. And she just is really knowledgeable about current events and what's going on in the world, and she shares her prophecies, and I don't attach, right? We are all kinds of prophecies, and some I really relate to. They kind of get me in the heart chakra, and you'd get that sense of knowing like, yeah, that does make sense. But at the same time, life can turn on a dime, and we just don't know what we don't know. And having that faith helps me feel light every day. I just said to my husband this morning, while he was giving me a nice little massage Sunday morning, I was kind of tight in here, and I was like, where's that girl that used to go to the chiropractor every week? I was always crunchy, my neck going out, back, the tension. And it's just my greatest wish to help everybody know how valuable your body is. It's such a tool. Illness, injury, pains, aches, they're trying to tell you something. Those pains are messengers. Okay, so anyways, getting back to sitting on the couch listening to Amanda talk. And it wasn't one of her usual videos on her website. Someone else had posted a clip of her and someone going around doing different shows in the US. And, they fill an auditorium with thousands of people. And so it was in there that they're talking about faith. And at that moment, and I was just, having this heavy time sitting on the couch, wondering, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Like, should we fucking liquefy everything? Crypto, is that the answer? Even if you have it on a wallet, when you go to connect to your phone or to the internet to make purchases or transfers, what happens if the net goes down? I don't know. I have a lot of questions about that. So my mind was feeling scrambled and the panicky. And, we have a child here, of course, even though she's all the way across Canada right now. Well, it sounds lovely just to run away. That's not always the answer either, right? When you got family on the island and people that you look out for. So while I'm sitting there in this dark kind of funk, Amanda's talking about, when everything feels the heaviest, like the darkest times, that is the moment that you need to have total faith. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, fuck yeah, right? That is the moment where you need to have faith. Darkest times, okay. And then she says, and it's also when your mind is full of Maya, right? Anxiety, worrying. You're trying to guess, you're trying to make, to look at the next steps of what to do and which direction to go, which direction to take. In that moment, you need to realize that you're actually trying to outpace God, that God has control and he has a plan for you and a plan for me. And when we're feeling that discomfort, when you're panicking and in your head, that is when you need to drop to your knees. And it hit me in that instance because I pray a lot. I keep my radio off when I'm out driving. I just talk to God, just like I would to you, to this camera. And I just unpack things all day long. If I'm feeling a little off or a little pissy or a little irritated or a little worried or concerned, I don't wait later. I stay with that energy and feel it, breathe through it, be fluid, move. Remember not to take everything so seriously. So in that moment when she's saying that, I realize that in all of the times that I pray when I'm laying in bed, it's very rare that I get on my knees. And it's a real act of humility. My mom used to. She was a big knee dropper. And maybe that's why. Maybe there's a discomfort in me that while I love my mom, I didn't always agree with her views on God because she loved God. She had a big connection with God, but she saw him as a punishing, angry God in some ways. In some ways she didn't. So I don't know. But in that very moment, listening to Amanda talking about that, I did it. I dropped on my knees in front of our beautiful fireplace on this nice little fur rug. It's my kids that I stole because I liked it. And I dropped that very moment. I prayed like I've never prayed before. And just about our world and what should we do? How long is it until they possibly seize our accounts? This is scary. It's, how do we talk to people in our family about this that don't have the same opinions? Do they see the gravity of the situation? And so as all of that I'm praying about, and I asked God, and I asked him to forgive me for trying to outpace him. And that was that. And I got up and I finished listening to the video and I started to move throughout my day. Probably doing a lot of laundry because we were away and I knew I had to work the next couple of days. So I'm not kidding, about an hour and a half after that prayer, that is when the news suddenly came out, the breaking news that not only had Trudeau reversed his decision on the Emergency Act, saying, oh, okay, no, we're canceling it now. They also came out with the breaking news that they were no longer freezing bank accounts, that the RCMP were working with those accounts that had been frozen. Did I do all that? Fuck no. Like, no, I don't think that my prayer did all that. But was it my prayer with a whole bunch of other prayers? Was this time so dark? Was this such scary shit that it made so many of us say, wow, and reach for God and pray to Him for guidance at the same time, that we created that really big collective shift of energy to have those huge decisions just reversed? So the power of prayer. And I don't remember where I read this study. I mean, it could have been like in the Reader's Digest or an Oprah magazine for that matter. But I read a study years ago that's always stuck with me about the power of prayer. And it was about these two groups of sick people. Okay, so they had like two groups of sick people. And this group, unbeknownst to them, or this group, were being prayed for by a huge group of people. So after the study was finished, and I don't know if it was weeks or months, probably months, because these people were going through cancer and other really debilitating diseases, when they started to look at the outcomes, the people who were prayed for compared to the other group, and they all had very similar diseases and illnesses and injuries, their recovery was huge. Like, there was such a noticeable difference that they said, absolutely, the power of prayer, there's a scientific link. And that's energy, right? It's all energy. And so, again, that's why I say to you, don't be afraid of God. Don't be afraid to pray. I've always believed. I asked Jesus in my heart when I was in grade 3, but, I strayed like a lot of us did. The more that he was removed from schools and I kind of came back, but more into spirituality, like addressing God as universe or source and talking to angels and Reiki, doing Reiki and working on my chakras. Numbers, I don't look for them, but holy, they sure look for me. But I also kind of go, because, numerology, I don't want anything that's really going away from God. And in the last 5 years, while I've been really looking at all of that and feeling that and understanding it, I'm starting to pick up the Bible now. It's really cool. And I've just made God a promise that I'm going to try every day to read a bit. And some of it I don't understand, and some of it's fascinating. And some of it it's kind of that I've been picking up on from hearing other people talk. I listen to other people talk about God. Even Jordan Peterson, who used to be an atheist. He's a beautiful guy. And, there's just things that will happen in your life where you realize the power of God. And it happened to me a few years ago. I've always, try and do the best I can, but now and then I'm a brat and I can't get away from it. Anytime I try and stray, or I'm not like sticking to the best of my ethics or my moral fiber, I get stomped on. And he did. He brought me to my knees a few years ago. I want to talk about that one day, but I'm just not ready. And he redeemed me. He absolutely redeemed me. God is so good. He has so much grace. There's just so much I want you to know, and just not to be afraid, just to say hello and talk to him. And your prayers, right? Toss them up like a ball of Kleenex, throw them over your shoulder, and just ask for guidance. Ask for signs, ask for the clarity and the presence to see those signs, whether it's in nature, music, just things you read, or maybe a movie you see. There's synchronicities everywhere. They're just everywhere. So what else? There's one more thing I wanted to say, because I was talking about the power of prayer. And then just on Gaia, I used to watch Gaia, but it got kind of pricey, so I stopped subscribing. But there was Greg Braden, I think that's his name, and he talked about the mind-heart connection, right? There's an actual, again, cord, like not just spiritual, but they've actually in science discovered like that there's like this energetic cord that goes from our heart. So even just, the act of keeping your hand on your heart when you're feeling any kind of distress can be really helpful. And I think just link our brain to our heart. And just this, right? Cross your arms and rubbing your fingers down this part, even to your wrists. There's meridians in here. And so if that's just a thing that you've always done that you find comforting, it's not a coincidence. There's actual, just parts in our body and our nervous system that are calmed by doing that. brain gym, right? Just crisscrossing, touching your left ear with your right hand, petting your eyebrows, right? Cross that, tickle your chin. That actually gets your left and right side of your brain hemispheres chit-chatting. And the idea is to put your body in at degrees of about 72%, which is ideal. So this can work if you're feeling high up and crackly and bubbly and cranky, and it can work if you're feeling low. So I hope this did help. I'm going to keep on chatting about what I think the big distraction is going on right now overseas. There's a big one. And yeah, I don't want to take any risk of having any more strikes on YouTube because I've already had 2 and 3. I'm out. So I'm going to behave now and turn this off. So yeah, just pray. Just say hello. Talk to him like a friend. I honestly couldn't quote more than 10 Bible verses. So again, I'm no expert, but I know we need God right now. Look at our world. And there's so much that we're not being told. Okay? So God bless. Pray, dear Heavenly Father, please help our world. And I always start my prayer by asking God to put love into me first, putting love into me, and I send it out to my neighbors, to my community, to my town, to my province, to my country, to the world, and just visualize that and imagine that. And yeah, pray for everyone, right? Pray for people in all countries, and keep questioning what's going on. We need God big time. Our world's heading in the wrong direction. And a lot of people see that now and are speaking up. Okay, God bless. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and find me on Rumble.